Hey, I'm Sour and I make videos with hardstyle production while pretending this doesn't hurt my actual hardstyle production. Chords are like the foundation of your song, make it crooked and the song will not make sense. Everyone knows this of course, since I opened this video with that exact line. But a lot of people still struggle with them, so let's refresh the basics and show you some advanced tricks. A chord exists out of 2 or more different notes that when played together sound pheasant. This musical bird comes in a bunch of variations, but the most important ones for you to learn are major and minor. Minor tends to sound a little sad.
I have to tell you something.
And major tends to sound like good vibes.
My god, you won't believe who died today!
Why this was the first thing I thought of with the phrase good vibes is still being figured out by a team of disturbed professionals. Every chord has a root note, which by a wild coincidence is the same note the chords get named after. If your chosen bass note is a C3, then a good start is placing another C above it. Depending on the instrument, a C5 or C4 might be the bomb. I said a chord is 2 or more different notes that when played together sound mice. And you might think this already makes a chord. If you take the cheese out of your brain however, you might have heard me say different. A C will always be a C, so a different number doesn't make it a different note. We clone this bass or root notes so we can hear what we are doing. To make major or minor, you only need to count. If from your cloned note you skip 3 notes, then 2, you have made a major chord. The lowest is the root, the middle makes it major or minor, and the top one adds some general warmth and power to it. If you leave out the middle, you basically get a power chord. If instead you first skip 2 notes, then 3, you have made a minor chord. Like everything in life, your chord progressions, that's a fancy way of saying collection of chords and the order you picked for them, needs a balance. So rarely if ever you will have a good progression with the chords of only one of the types. The chords get decided on your bass line. To make those, I honestly just recommend to place some bass notes and go by feel. Find one you like for the first one, then see what you want to do next. You can go up or down, just take your time to find notes that really fit after each other. If you want to do a video on this, let me know, because it's a whole different pickle. Now to make your bass line into chords, I recommend the lazy way. Select your whole bass line, make it 1 or 2 octaves higher, clone, skip 2 notes, clone, skip 3 notes, or vice versa. This will sound bad. To fix that, I need you to flip-flop each middle note of the chords, one at a time, to see which sound better in the big picture. This sounds time-consuming and there is a trick for it, which sadly is Patreon exclusive. Am I gatekeeping knowledge? No, you just didn't do your homework, as I have described most of what we discussed today, including this very tip, in at least a handful of other videos this year alone. Please don't subscribe to my Patreon for that tip, by the way. With my track record, I'll be sure to forget to post it there. Extended cuts and project file downloads, if I have any, is the reason to do it. I'll do a video like this on scales and that tip if there is demand for it. Just comment.
Hey, you!
Me?
Yes, you! The guy making music while also strongly smelling like... Is that body odor with pizza grease?
Yeah, a little. I was about to shout.
You need to get your shit together.
Like showering or like bathing or
No,
like...
you vile goblin! Get yourself the SWR Ultimate Hard Dance Pack, a Serum bank full of presets that are guaranteed to enchant your songs to the next level.
It kind of sounds like you're just reading a script.
With these 100 presets, including leads, chords, basses and more, you practically don't need any other packs to make full tracks.
Do they even sound good?
And with code Back to School, you can save up to 30% of the already budget-friendly price. Get it now!
I dislike this conversation very much. Now that you managed to make amateur level chords, it is time to make them flow better and fit your instruments a lot better. This can be done by selecting a random range of notes from below or above and move this an octave up or down. In FL Studio, the shortcut is Ctrl plus arrow key up or down. Remember when I yelled at you about using different notes? The point of that bit of verbal abuse is to show you that notes with the same letter are harmonically identical, thus moving your chords around like this will not change how they work. This does complicate the role of your notes though. Your now lowest note is not magically the root note. This is music and not Transfiguration class at Hogwarts. I'm still waiting on my letter. So if you made chords in a very backwards and unconventional way, first of all, good on you. That is great training, mental torture, and can lead to great progressions. But to find your bass notes, you kind of need to invert them like we did with the basic ones, until that beloved 2-3 ratio is visible. Then the lowest note is the bass or root note. This is where the until now kind of lame video gets exciting. There are a couple of ways to make your chords more interesting, and today we'll discuss 3 of those methods. Timing. Usually chords switch every bar or every other bar, but they don't have to. Play around with timing. Maybe confine yourself to quarter measures, so kicks will always fit easy. Or, if you are up to no good kind of rebel, play around with switching on the 8th. This can give a lot of funk to your otherwise boring bass line and chord progressions. But timing also works with individual notes. If you delay certain notes, for example, you can get a little more suspense in there. 7ths and 9ths. All the notes in your chord are numbered based on the available notes in the scale. In my opinion, you don't really need to be aware about any of that, but the root note of your chord is 1, the minor is 2, the major is 3, and the power chord note is the 5th. Depending on your chord, sometimes a 7th or a 9th will work great in your chord. Now the actual distance between the top note and these ones can differ a little bit, so what I recommend for you to do is just trying out adding some different notes above the 5th, but below the root note an octave higher. If you try around a little bit, you will find 1 or 2 notes that add a little bit of extra pizzazz. Whatever is in between your first and second or third. These notes will not sound great, but are therefore a great suspense tool. If you combine a delay in your second or third with a note like this, you can get a really cool suspense and release within one chord. Of course, there's a lot more implications than just suspense. You can also use it as a transition from one to the other, or whatever else your twisted mind comes up with. Whether you got chords or you made something sick of yourself, you should know there is a finite amount of working chord progressions. So inevitably you will make something that sounds like another song, and that is fine. Chord progressions are not eligible to copyright. So hereby, if you ever took a chord progression from one of my melody packs or tutorials, fuck you for being smart. Just like anything else in music production, you need to dedicate some time to this subject to get it to sound nice. Not just to practice, but also to make it something special in your song. By now you might have gotten a hint that I'm not big on relying on theory over your ears. And that might have something to do with the fact that we are making sound based on preference. Music theory is a tool to potentially make it easier, while also requiring so much more knowledge to effectively use that it kind of loses its value as something that makes stuff easier. I can't wait for the comments on this statement. If you have questions or video suggestions, leave it in the comments or in my Discord server, which is linked down below. It's a fun place where you and other vitamin D deprived hermits can talk about music, gaming, training and more. Supporting this channel can be done by subscribing, liking and commenting, so if this helps you, I'd appreciate it if you tell YouTube it did. With that being said, it was a true pleasure to be your host once again, until we meet again.
Eat fruit every day, work out, and be amazed, look out, before crossing streets to go hard. On these beats, eat fruit every day, work out, and be amazed, hydrate, on repeat, go hard.